What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up?
And Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So thank you for tuning in. So Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesday, like today, is our discussion episode. And then Thursday's Ask a CISSP. I have a really good one with Matthew Hale. So definitely check that one out about We Gonna Learn Today and all the great things he's doing with Black History and Black History Month. So it's very topical. And then Friday's everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This article, this article comes from CSOonline.com, written by Cynthia Brumfield. And the title of this one is Managing the Emotional Toll Cybersecurity Incidents Can Take on Your Team. So what they talk about here, they reference a report that was done by Tynes, T-I-N-E-S. It's not me. It's not Shannon Tynes that did this, but it's a report that was done by them, right? And it was a survey, really. And what they talked about is they surveyed 1,027 security professionals to ask them, like, hey, what's the toll on your mental health, right? And they actually address physical health in here as well. Working in the field, working in the cybersecurity field has on you, right? So the key findings they have in here, which I saw the numbers and I was like, yeah, I could kind of see that, right? But what they say is 47% of the people that are in the field, of the 1,027 that they did, they rank their mental health pretty highly, right? 27% said their mental health has declined over the past year. So over a year time frame, they were saying it had declined, right? Because of all they have to deal with, right? So you got to think of the limiting factors they have. So they're told to do so much with so little, right? Is really what it comes down to, right? Is we talk about it more often than we should about how some of these, even these large companies, they start cutting down on their IT and their cybersecurity departments. And so when you have to do more with less, right? If you are one of the fortunate ones that does get to stay on with the company, they're like, okay, well, now we need you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but we're only going to pay you enough to handle 1 and 2, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of what they get into, is the stress levels being high, mental health affecting productivity. Like I said, they do talk about physical health, right? Because the effect on your mental health can have effects on your physical health as well. And surprisingly, they said their physical health was not bad off, right? Even though their mental health was bad. But again, this is them putting a poll out to people and having them do the answer, right? And they were pretty fair on the 1,027 people that they went and they had complete the poll, because they break it down by, age groups, gender. The gender, it was 53% male, 47% female. So it wasn't like it was overwhelmingly one side, right? The age groups that they went to was pretty fair. And it was split up between the U.S. and Europe, right? When they did it. So it was 49% U.S. in the U.S. were polled, 51% in Europe. But yeah, pretty much what they're talking about here is the emotional toll it takes when you have to do so much with less, right? And just the constant. We talk about different ransomware and things like that every week. So imagine the people that are working at these companies that are fending off these threats that we just don't get to report. You know what I mean? So those are out there as well. It's not just what you're hearing from us; it's also what you're not hearing from us that helps you sleep well at night. That the other people that are taking care of it aren't sleeping as well as at night, apparently, according to this survey. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking about examples where, an organization would cut down their workforce, and then you've got IT help desks being like dual and triple headed, being cybersecurity guys, being process, improvement people, right? So, I think, on a personal experience, right, when you don't have dedicated cybersecurity people on hand, right? And then, that the help desk person becomes the cybersecurity guy as well. So anytime there's, an incident or, there's a virus here, right? We found this desk here, this asset here was confirmed for virus per the regular Sentinel scans, right? You got to go through your own incident management process and go through that, right? And especially if you're not used to doing that, and that's the thing, right? If you're not used to doing that, it could be a huge toll, and it could be very frightening for a new SOC person, right, or a new help desk or IT personnel, right? And that's why I really harp on the importance of like training. Like in the military, we train how we fight. Right? We have regular exercises, tabletop exercises, We go through regular penetration testing, and we identify our weaknesses. Really, I think it's really being prepared, right, for such a situation. Like it's like doing your homework, or rather, you've got a test coming up, but you didn't study. That's kind of how I see like that anxiety with cybersecurity professionals, right? If they haven't really prepared for an event in which, oh crap, we are out, or we have a serious cybersecurity incident, we've got ransomware, half our guys are locked out. What do we do? And if an organization hasn't run through that, right, there could be a lot of that anxiety, right? This that's there, where it's like, oh crap, if this happens, we're screwed, right? So they do talk about like preparation in this article as well. Interestingly, too, they talk about CISOs, right? They talk about the CISO struggle, right? Yeah, for like a lot of IT professionals, being a CISO or CIO, that's like a dream job, right? It's like the cream of the crop for anybody in the IT within an organization. But in the article, it talks about a lot of CISOs have been, the stress involved with being a CISO, and I quote, has been shown to lead to increased depression and substance abuse among CISOs. That blew my mind, right? So it's like, it's really because here they talk about that CISOs and cybersecurity leaders could face personal liability, right? So it's literally like, wait, so all of the cybersecurity, it's all on them, right? And I think somewhat, sometimes it could be unfair from my perspective. It's because CISOs can only do what they can do with the resources that they have. So if they don't have the support of senior management and the business, right, CISOs could arguably be handicapped, and 70% of CISOs sour. 70% of them interviewed or surveyed, they sour on CISO role because of this. And then you've got, according to this, 24% of CISOs looking for an exit. It's like that blew my mind on this article, right? So to me, it's like, the C-suite, you're all in it together, right? The CISO isn't the sacrificial lamb, right?
Yes, they are.
But that's the thing.
Yeah, you are.
Here's my argument, though. Yeah, the CISO is a sacrificial lamb, but guess what? Your reputation goes down. Nobody's going to want to work with you. Your business is at risk. Reputational damage, it's those qualitative risks that you can't really put numbers to. Like, I remember when Target had like a security breach. Subconsciously, I was like, man, I'm not going to Target, even though I love Target. I'm like, it's crazy, right? Like,
it's true. It's true.
It's that, what goes into what people see and perceive from like a marketing safety perspective. It's like, I don't. It's a business. It's a business decision, right? If you're going to leave your CISO out there hanging dry, you as a business could suffer as a whole, right? So it's like, hey, if the CISO's asking for some help, you probably should listen, right? CIO is asking for some help, you probably should listen, because the consequences of a cyber attack are massive, right? Especially if you've got a solid reputation. You can't, like, that's the one thing, right? You got to protect your name as an organization, and protecting your CISO and information security is tipped.
So here's the thing, though, based off what you were talking about, right? So like you kind of referenced like the government and how they do things, right? They do these tabletops, they do all these things. So what you have to think about is that when it's these civilian companies, though, their main thing is, what's the ROI? What's the return on investment for me investing into this, right?
Right.
When it comes to the government, or when it comes to DoD, it is a service that is provided to the people. They're not looking at it like, hey, well, let me say this. They didn't used to look at it like, hey, this is money not being spent well, to do these things. That's the difference there. The return on investment when it comes to the civilian side is what keeps the CISO being the scapegoat, right? The other folks, you have the CEO, the COO, the CFO that are all against, the CIO, CISO, whatever it may be, saying, no, like you're the one that's going to have to take the hit on this. You know what I mean? They're not all in it as a team. Yes, they should be. I agree. They should be all in it as a team because you all take the hit. But
right,
they're more than willing to sacrifice that CISO and be like, hey, we have taken care of that. We've cut that cancer from the team. We're going to go forward and look better. That's what they're going to be saying at the press conference.
That's a true statement. But at the same time, it's like, okay, cool. This CISO leaves. They get another CISO. Happens again. So what does it do to the business? Where's the return on investment right on that? when your revenue's down because of lack of interest on your product because of this event, right? So to me, it's I think, do a cost benefit analysis, right? Do a risk assessment work on stuff like risk registers and stuff like that can help you articulate the risk to your organization, right? So to me, I like to think in a perfect world, at least you put your consulting hat on of like, hey, this is how it should work. But we understand like there's a lot of things at play, and there's the personalities and there's politics in that space, right? But at the same time, the singular goal is to protect the business, and cybersecurity is protecting the business, right? Just remember that it's protecting the business, protecting your investment is with cybersecurity.
No, absolutely. What I find, or what I'm going to find interesting, is as like you're the business guy, right?
I'm the business guy.
Out of all of us, so you're working towards getting your degree and all the other good stuff within it. So when you fulfill one of those BSO roles or things of that nature, I'm gonna be interested in picking your brain to see how your frame of mind either stay the same or slightly change, right? Because it's all about perspective.
It is, yeah.
So, because you're coming from such a heavy IT and cyber background, so when you then put on that business hat, I want to see how it kind of transforms, because you'll have another perspective on top of it that you can share with us that I honestly would not have, or at least not in a institutionalized way, and then gained experience, right? Like right now with the RAM kicking off, it's kind of OJT, trial by fire.
Yeah, for sure.
And the perspective is different, right? Like I'm not trying to necessarily become the biz dev guy, right? Like at some point I want to hire you as the biz dev guy, you or Jeff or somebody. So, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see that perspective shift. I think you guys pretty much nailed it. My only thing out of this article is there was a quote by a CEO from eBay just saying how you need to normalize, to paraphrase him, you need to normalize crisis, right? Like you need to make it like a firefighter or something of that nature, where it's like your job is the crisis, is the chaos. So that way you're not shocked every time it happens. I think that's an interesting perspective.
And that's interesting coming from the CEO. That's not somebody that is in the IT field or cybersecurity, right? Like for it to come from the chief executive officer, right? Like the one that's the top, right? That's the tip top, right? That's a good thing to hear, but I can guarantee you they are in the minority when it comes to that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The other ones are thinking, okay, how are sales driving this to be more money, to make us look better? Yeah.
Right, and then the last piece, and then I'll get us out of here. Is so I won't talk specifically about the company, but Shannon, you and I had an episode a couple years back where we talked about how a CISO was the scapegoat for a very large company, and how she basically had to pack it up and leave. So I don't like everybody likes likes. Like I like when my posts are engaged. I like when people like them and share and things of that nature. Right, it gives me warm and fuzzy. Like pretty much everybody on social media. But in one of my top 3 likes, she liked the article. We're not connected. We're in no way where we have run the same social circles or whatever. But at some point, she saw the article. She went to read it, and then she must have agreed with some of our points about her case because she liked it. And remember, I sent it to you. I took a screenshot of it. I was like, "Yo, the CISO we were talking about." Like, so that's one of my like. There's a lot of really cool posts and shares that people have done for the podcast in the past, but that one is definitely up there in the top 3. It's like we must have really spoken well about her situation, where she stopped by to say, yeah, you guys hit some of these points around the head. So this is crazy. Like I wanted to be a CISO when I exited the military. That was the ultimate goal. Now I'm like, it's up there. It's still highly regarded, but I would like to see how some of these regulations and things like that nature give them a little bit more teeth, so that way they have a little bit more to combat the nonsense that's coming from the business side of the house. So it's a goal, but it's not necessarily an imminent thing I want to grab right now because of the situation. So definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. You can hit us up by all the websites that go by our name: The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP. Give me a person. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much everywhere, but I'm most active on LinkedIn. And where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon. Last name spelled A Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.